Hello, this is Lori with LM's Crafty Creations. I'm here to share a little folio that I created with you. And on the front here, I used the Authentique Fabulous collection, which is a wonderful collection. I am in love with it. And I ordered this collection from Country Craft Creations, which I also love. Here I have a belly band style kind of closure here. That just slips off. And on the front, I layered this paper and I just did it all around the entire thing. The cover is about 5 by 8 and the spine is 1 by 8, so it's not very large. Inside, on the front cover, I have a waterfall, and here is a magnet closure. You open that up. And then I used the pink cardstock on the waterfall because I thought it really went with this collection well. And then I put strips of washi tape here to kind of cover up some of that extra pink, and I only covered them on one side. And there's room here in this little waterfall for 15 photos. And it's about, I would crop my photo to about 4 by 4. I think they're 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. On the first page, this only has 3 pages, so it's small. On the first page, I just did a little flap, and here I layered a little cut apart from the collection. It opens up this way. And then there's room for a 4 by 6 photo here. There is a mat in the pocket, and they do have paper on both sides, and a 4 by 6 photo will fit on each side. Closes. On the other side, I have a pocket here and a photo mat inside the pocket, and I only matted it on one side for this photo mat. On the second page, there is a double kind of like tag pocket, I guess, and there's booklets inside of these pockets. They're both the same, and I matted them with the pink cardstock again on the inside. And then this flips open this way. You can fit about a 3 by 4 here and a 4 by 6 on this side. And here is the tag for this one. And I just matted my scrap. I matted with my scraps here because I was running out of paper. I didn't want to open my other set of papers I had. On the back of the second page, there's just this large place because I love this image. It says "Stay Sassy." And here, my polka dots are going the wrong direction in one of these. I didn't realize they were directional when I put them on, but there's just 2 flaps here. Here, there is a photo mat in this pocket. It's a smaller mat. And oh, there's that paper there. I love the phones and the shoes. And this flips up. This is just a cut apart from the collection that I just cut down to fit and matted it to fit on this flap. Flips up, and you have room for 2 more photos here. And then this flips open again. And here's the mat for this page, the cute dogs. Turn it over. And I just left this page blank because I just love this newspaper print paper with the ads. On the back cover, I stuck the rest of the cut-aparts I have for this collection, if I can get them out, just to show how much will fit in this pocket. It's a pretty good sized pocket. And there's a cut-apart here that I layered, and then there's another cut-apart. And there's another photo mat. So altogether, the little folio holds about probably 45 to 50 photos, so quite a few photos in this one. So I am going to go ahead and do a tutorial on how to make this. I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible because I'm hoping to only get it in one video, but I'm not sure if that's going to be possible. So to start off, the supplies you need is, I used the 1/4" score tape as well as, I'm almost out of it, the 1/2" score tape. You're going to need your paper trimmer, your scoreboard, and then your scissors, and I always use a craft knife to peel off the score tape. So to get started, let's do the covers first. Sorry, I'm trying to get all of this out of the way. So I cut my chipboard already, and I cut 2 pieces at 5 by 8, and then my spine is 1 piece at 1 by 8, and I went ahead and put score tape on my spine as well as around the perimeter of my 5 by 8. So what I do, instead of filling the whole thing with score tape, because that gets expensive if you do as many albums as I do, and I just fill it up in the middle with my ATG gun, and it seems to work. I haven't had any problems with that coming apart. So we have those pieces. Then to wrap the chipboard, you cut a piece of cardstock by 10 by 12, and I scored on the 10" side at 1 inch and on the 12" side at 1 inch to give me a guide as to where to put my chipboard pieces. And then you're going to need to cut another small piece at 2 inches by 10 inches, and I just put a small strip of 1/4" score tape on this one, and you're going to join these together. It gives you that little extra that you're going to need to wrap. And I'm just going to attach this, I guess I should flip it this way, on the end here. And I think my little piece is a little bit short, but yours should be accurate. But that's okay. So those are joined together. Now you take your first chipboard piece, and I'm going to peel off my score tape here. And like I said, I'm going to fill it up with my ATG, if I can get it to work. My tape is wrapping around the roller. Let's try this again. Sorry, I know that noise is awful. And then I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to line it up where my score lines intersect on this page. And I'm going to stick it down. So that gives me the nice 1 inch border that I'm going to need to wrap my chipboard. Now, I always put a strip of 1/4" tape here just to give me a guide, to give me that space between the spine and the cover. So I'm going to take my spine, and a little tape overhang there, and I'm going to butt it up right against that bottom score line here. I know you can't see it very well, and against this 1/4" tape. And then I'm going to stick it down. Now I'm going to put another strip of 1/4" tape here. And then I'm going to put my other 5 by 8 piece here. Just taking the tape off of it, tape backing. And again, I'm going to fill it up with my ATG gun in the middle. Make sure I have coverage. And then again, I'm going to line it up with this bottom score line against this 1/4 inch tape. Get it nice and as even as possible and stick it down. Now, I'm going to take, I don't have a lot of 1/2 inch. I usually use 1/2 inch score tape on this, but since I'm running out, I'm going to just use 1/4 inch for this example. But if you have 1/2 inch, that would be better. And I'm just going to place the tape all along the bottom, just to the edge of the chipboard. You really don't need more than that. And then I'm going to do it right at the edge here of the paper. And then again another strip here in the middle. Now we're going to miter these corners, so you don't really need to go all the way to the end. You'll just be wasting your tape. And I'm going to do the same thing all the way around. Just going to leave that. Okay, now that that's done, I'm going to take my little scoring tool and I'm just going to burnish. Make sure all of that tape gets stuck down really well. Even in my little 1/4 inch gaps there. And now I'm going to miter my edges. So all you do is you cut right across here on, I guess, just the triangle here and leave a small gap. And do that to each corner. Now, I'm going to remove the score tape from in between the spine piece. If I can get it off. There we go. And I'm going to take my little scoring tool, bone folder, whatever you have, and I'm just going to lift this up a bit and start to just press my bone folder against there and get it to start to crease. I didn't have any problems with my cardstock cracking on the other one, but sometimes you never know. Then I'm going to remove this tape here. And I'm going to slowly just start to bend it over and stick it down. I'm going to take and just burnish. Get that tape stuck down really well. Then I'm going to get in the creases here so that it bends easily when we get ready to. And I'm going to do that on all 4 sides. I'm going to burnish it a bit. And I'm going to take my tape off. And fold it over. Make sure that you get in your corners too. Again, I'm going to burnish it a bit. I'm going to start to fold it over. And then I'm going to burnish and get in those grooves really well. I'm going to round my corners here because they're kind of a little sharp. Here's our last one. Fold it over. Now, I'm going to take this and I'm going to slowly bring it in. It looks great. So there's our cover. Now we're going to do the hinges. So I already have my hinge piece cut and scored. So here is the hinges. So you're going to cut your piece to, where's my notes? 6.5 by 7.5. You're going to score on the 6.5 inch side at 1.5 inches, 2 inches, 2.5 inches, 2 3/4 inches, 3 1/4 inches, 3 3/4 inches, 4 inches, 4.5 inches, and 5 inches. And that will give you this piece right here. You can see my score marks. Now I will put all of these measurements and the score marks in the description down below so that you have all of this. Now I went ahead and I put my score tape on every other 1/2 inch hinge. So I don't know if you can see very well, but it's every other 1/2 inch. So then I'm going to take and I'm going to fold it over at the first 1/2 inch score line, because you're going to stick the 2 1/2 inch, I'm going to burnish, you're going to stick the 2 1/2 inch sections together. So I'm going to remove my tape and stick that first one down. This will create my first hinge. So if you turn it over, this gives me my first hinge. So here you can see I'll have a 1/4 inch gap, and then my next hinge, a 1/4 inch gap, and then my next hinge. So now I'm going to fold again at the 1/2 inch where the 2 1/2 inch score lines meet. Remove my tape and fold it over, creating that second 1/2 inch hinge. Now you're also going to want to score on your 1/4 inch mark. There we go. So now there's my 2 hinges with the 1/4 inch gap in the middle. We have one more hinge to go. Now turn it the right way. Go ahead and fold on that middle score line between the 2 1/2 inch hinges. Remove the tape backing and stick them together. I know I'm going a little fast here on this one. There's a lot of videos on YouTube on how to do the hidden hinge binding system, and most of you probably already know how to do it. And this is, of course, not my design. It is by Kathy with Paper Phenomenon. There's my 3 hinges with my 1/4 inch gap in the middle of each. So now I'm going to cover this area with tape, and I'm going to use my 1/4 inch tape again. Try to cover as much as I possibly can. And I also put them on the gussets, my 1/4 inch gussets. So full tape here, since this is what's going to keep your book, your pages together. Last one. Now I'm also going to put tape on each side of my hinges. And I try to put my tape towards the top and stay away from the bottom score line. There we go. Now I'm going to miter the corners of each one of these hinges. So I'm going to take the first hinge and I'm going to cut right from the score line up to the top just at an angle and miter that corner. And I'm going to do that to all 3 hinges. This just makes your page go on so much easier. And now I'm going to do the other side as well. And now our hinges are done. So now I'm going to remove, you know what, I'm going to put one more piece of score tape down here. And I'm going to burnish all of this before I start removing the tape backing. Now we're going to take our cover, and this is actually going to go centered from top to bottom right here. So I'm going to remove all of this tape backing. And make sure that I don't have any tape hanging over the edge, which I do right here. So I'm going to take this, make sure it's centered as much as possible from top to bottom and side to side, and make sure it's even. Then I'm going to stick it down and burnish really well, even inside your crease here where you had that 1/4 inch tape between the spine and the cover. And make sure you also burnish inside your gussets, very important, each side. Get in that groove again. Now, your hinges are ready for your pages. Now slowly take it and start bending it again. And now that part's done. So now we're going to go ahead and start the base pages. And actually, let's go ahead and do the waterfall. That's probably the easier part. So for the waterfall, for all of my waterfalls, I usually start out with a base because it's just easier for me to line up the pages here like that. Using a guide, I make sure I get them straight. So I started out with a 4 1/4 by 7 1/4 inch base, and my waterfall pages, I cut 7 at 4 3/4 by 4 1/4, and I scored at a 1/2 inch on the 4 3/4 inch side. And now I'm going to add my tape. Oops, you can't see, sorry. Right there. And I'm adding the tape to the dented side of the score line. So when you fold it over, you're going to stick it down like that. And I'm going to do that to all 7. Then you're going to fold on the score line and burnish for each one. Sorry, my microphone cord is getting in the way. Last one. Now, I'm going to take all 7 and start adding them to my base a little at a time. So the first one, take it and line it up right there at the top and get it even and stick it down. And I always burnish it, lift it up, then you're going to stick the next one, remove the tape backing from the next one, and stick it right underneath this right here, right flush with this hinge. So it's going to go just like that, as even as you can get it. And do that for all 7. And last one. And if you find that, looks like my last one got a little crooked there, so I'm just going to take it and line it up with my bottom base here, and I'm just going to burnish it. That way it'll all be even. So don't worry if you make a slight mistake, no big deal. And there is our waterfall. Now I'm going to go ahead and add our closure as well. So to make the closure, you cut one piece of cardstock at 1.5 inches by 5.5 inches. Score on the 5.5 inch side at 1/2 inch and add your score tape. And I also rounded the corners of mine. So fold on your score line and burnish. Remove the tape backing. And you're just going to add it at the very bottom here, the very last page, centered as much as you can get it. And there it is. And we're going to add a magnet right here and then also here. And we'll do that after we add it onto the cover. So your waterfall is done. Go ahead and set that to the side. And now let's start our base pages. Now each base page, let's see, you need to cut 3 pages at 4.5 by 7.5, and then 3 pages at 4.5 by 8.5. You're going to score on the 8.5 inch side at 1/2 inch on each end. And add your tape. So you fold on your score lines. And your tape will be facing out. And burnish. Remove the tape backing. And then you're going to attach this to your 4.5 by 7.5 inch page, and you're going to line it up from top to bottom and stick it down. And burnish. This will create the pages that will go on our binding. So there's your base page, and I've already created my other 2 base pages. So for the very first page, for the front flap, you're going to cut a sheet at 7.5 by 4. You're going to score at 1/2 inch on the 4 inch side. And then you're going to add the tape to the bumpy side of your score line. And you're also going to miter your corners. So just cut at a diagonal from the score line up. Go ahead and burnish. Remove your tape backing. And this flap goes on the inside here, and you're going to stick it inside. So you stick it inside the pocket, line it up to right at the score line, not over it, or else your page won't close properly, and burnish. And there's your first flap. So you still have your binding side open and your pocket here for your tag. That's the first page. Now flip it over, and you're going to add your pocket. Now you're going to need to cut this at 5.5 by 4.5. Score on the 4.5 inch side at 1/2 inch, and on the 5.5 inch side at 1/2 inch at each end. So I've already prepped mine. So then you fold on your score lines, burnish, remove your tape backing. Oh, also make sure you miter your corners on each side of your pocket. Remove your tape backing. and line it up here at the very bottom on all sides and stick it down. So now you have your flap on the very front page, and you turn the page over and you have your pocket. So the first base page is done. Set that one to the side, and we're going to start the second base page. So I already have my base page done here. So this page is where it has the two pockets for the tags. So let's see. I'm going to start with, sorry, I have kind of a mess. We're going to start with the base flap for the pockets. It's going to go on the front on this side. We're going to do it just like we did the other flap with the tape on the inside. So cut this to 4 by 7.5 and score on the 4-inch side at 1/2 inch. You're going to add your tape to the bumpy side, fold on your score line and burnish. Remove your tape backing. And I forgot to miter my corners, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And you're going to stick it in your page just like we did before, right up to the score line. But not over it. And burnish. Now, you're also going to cut your two pockets at 4 3/4 by 3.5. You're going to score on the 3.5 inch side at 1/2 inch, and on the 4 3/4 inch side at 1/2 inch on each end, and that will create your pocket. Add your tape and miter your corners. Then you're going to fold on the score line and burnish each one. Remove your tape backing. Now I'm turning it to where my flap is going to be facing me because it's easier for me to add the pocket here. So you want to make sure that your pockets are going to be facing this way. So there's my tape, and I'm adding this flap right here. So I'm turning it this way. Add it to the very edge and line it up and stick it down. And burnish. Now your pockets will be shorter than your flap, and that's okay. Now go ahead and remove the tape backing from the second pocket. And stick it down on the other side. I always start on the edge here. Line it up and stick it down. They should line up perfectly. Now I also went ahead and created the booklets that are going to go in these, and they are cut at, you cut 2 of them at 7 by 4, and you score at 3.5 inches on the 7-inch side, and then you just fold them in half. Now what I did for my booklets is I corner punched here to give them a little decorative edge. You can do that or leave them plain, and these just fit right inside these pockets. Here's the second one. So now flip your page over. This is the back of the second page. Now you're going to cut we're going to create two I think they're 4x4 or 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 flaps. No, they're 4x4. So cut 2 pages at 4 by 4 1/2 inches and score at 1/2 inch on the 4 1/2 inch side. Now I didn't add my tape to these yet, so I'm just going to add my tape right here on the dented side where the score line is, on each flap. I'm going to burnish. I'm going to remove the tape backing, and I'm just going to stick these, so they're not going to go inside the pocket this time, they're just going to go on the outside of the back of this page. You're going to stick them right on the outside. I'm going to open this flap up, and then I'm going to stick this one down, just right there at the edge. And make sure that I stay away from the score line of this flap. And that's it. So your second page is complete. So now put that to the side with your first. So for your final page, I already have, again, my base page completed. Here's my pocket. For this one, so your front flap is going to be cut at 4 1/2 inches by 7 1/2 inches. You're going to score at 1/2 inch on the 4 1/2 inch side, and you're going to put your tape on the bumpy side of your score line. So burnish, fold and burnish on that score line. Take my little note off. And again, you're going to need to miter these edges. Remove your tape. And you're going to stick it in this pocket right up to the score line again, but not over it. And then burnish. So there's the front of your third page. Now we're going to add the pocket. You're going to cut one piece at 5 inches by 4 1/2 inches, score at 1/2 inch on the 5 inch side on each end, and 1/2 inch on the 4 1/2 inch side. Now add your tape and miter your corners. Make sure you're burnishing. Now I'm going to remove my tape, and I'm going to add this pocket to the front of this flap. I'm going to line it up at the bottom, just like we did before. The bottom and each side. It should line up perfectly. If you do it right, which I think mine went a little bit over on accident. So now you're going to cut your front flap. This is going to go inside the pocket at 4 inches by 4 1/2 inches. Score on the 4 1/2 inch side at 1/2 inch. You're going to add your tape to the bumpy side of the score line. So go ahead and fold and burnish. Remove your tape backing. Make sure that you remember to miter these corners. It makes it go into the pocket so much easier. And you're just going to stick this right inside this pocket, right up to the score line. And stick it down. So now you have your flap on your pocket. And then on the back of the third page, it was left blank. So also real quick, I'm going to give you the photo mats. Okay, for the base pages inside the pockets, you need to cut 3 mats at 4.5 inches by 7 inches. And they will go right in here. Now I like mine to stick out a bit, so it's easier to pull them out. If you don't, then you're going to want to cut them a little bit shorter, maybe at 4 inches by 7 inches. It's just personal preference. Then, so the photo mat for the pocket for page 1 goes right in here. Wait, that's not page 1. Sorry. Page 1. The back of page 1 goes in this pocket. You're going to cut that to 4 inches by 7 inches. So there's that one. And then you already have the measurements for the booklets. The photo mat for page 3 in this pocket with the flap is going to be 3.5 inches by 7 inches. This one goes right in here. And then the photo mat that I put in the back cover pocket, I did at 4.25 by 7 inches. Now let's see, I believe we can go ahead and get your cover again, and let's go ahead and add the, let's see, did I add it? Let me check. So I believe what I did, I cut my design paper first and then I added this pocket later. But we can go ahead and add it now because you're not going to be able to see the paper. So let's add this pocket, the back cover pocket. You're going to cut it at 6 inches by 4 inches. Score on the 6-inch side at 1/2 inch on each end and on the 4-inch side at 1/2 inch. Miter your corners and add your tape. Fold on your score lines and burnish. Remove your tape backing, and we're just going to go ahead and stick it down to this front cover. Line it up as even as possible on the sides and the bottom. There you go. That one's done, and then this photo mat sticks in here. That measurement I gave you for that one. Now in order to add our waterfall, we're going to have to add some design paper here. So let's go ahead and do that. You're going to cut your paper, let's see, what is this, 5 by 8? So I always cut mine about 1/8 of an inch under whatever the measurement is. And I used, if you're using the same paper that I used the glasses paper, if you can see, the black glasses paper in this, the Fabulous collection here on each side. But I'm going to be doing a different design here on this particular one, so I'm just going to use, I don't know what I'm going to use. I want to use something easy. I'm going to use this this polka dot. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this by a little under 5 by a little under 8. That's how I measure it. So it's 5, probably do about 5 7/8 by 8 7/8. Wait, what did I just do? 4 7/8. Wow, I am not thinking. Sorry about that. 4 7/8 because you're going to do under 5 and under 8 by 7 7/8. Here we go. That's right. So it just gives you that tiny bit of border around here. So I'm going to use my ATG gun and attach this to the base. Again, I'm sorry for my squeaky ATG gun. I know it's awful. When it gets towards the end of the roll, it just squeaks. And I'm going to line this up here, attach it down, and just burnish it. And I'm going to go ahead and add my waterfall. So here, the waterfall is going to go centered right here. So I'm going to go ahead and add my tape here. And I always do all the corners. My little X style there. And I'm going to line it up just right there in the middle. Try to get it as even as possible on each side and stick it down. There is my waterfall. So now I'm going to go ahead and add my paper to this pocket. So I'm going to do it at probably 5 inches, so it goes a little into the pocket by a little under 5. So probably 4 7/8. So 4 7/8. And I did ink around, no I didn't, did I? Yeah, inside the book I inked around my edges with Tim Holtz black soot, but I'm not going to ink around these here in the video. So that fits perfectly. I always test my fit first to make sure that it fits. Adding my tape. And I'm going to stick this down into the pocket. Little edge border around it. And inside that pocket is matted. Now, I need to get a magnet so we can go ahead and do the magnets. So just one moment, I forgot to get that. Sorry about that. So I'm going to get 2 small magnets, super strong magnets. And all I do for magnets, if I had glue dots I would use those, but I don't have any with me right now. So I'm just going to take a tiny piece of score tape and take the backing off so it sticks to my finger. And I'm just going to pick up one of these magnets and get the tape to stick to it. And I'm just going to put it, try to get it to where you can see, on the very edge, you know, about, I don't know, 1/2 inch to 1 inch down here. And then what I always do is I cover it again with score tape to make sure it stays. Just like that. So then I'm going to take this other magnet and attach it there. Again, I'm going to take another tiny piece of score tape. If I can get it off here. Attach it to my magnet here. And then I'm just going to close this up, press it down really well, and get it to stick here. And I'm just going to put my tape over this. Make sure it stays. And then I can mat over this now. And there's my magnet. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my base pages. Normally I would do I would mat everything before I add my base pages, but I'm not going to mat everything on camera. So I'm going to go ahead and add the base pages since I'm not going to do that, and I always start with the last page. So here is the last page. The last page is the one that has the flap. And I'm going to remove the tape backing here from this hinge on each side. I'm going to open this up here. See, I got my pocket. And I'm going to put it on this hinge as far as I can get it to go, but without going to the score line. And then I fold it down and burnish. It always seems to help my pages lay flatter if I fold it down and then burnish it on each side. So there's my first page. Now I'm going to do the second page. It's the page that has the tags and the book or the booklets and the flaps on this side. So I'm going to remove my tape backing from my second hinge. Open it up and stick it on my hinge. Kind of wiggle it down. Lay it as flat as I can. And I'm going to burnish on each side. So here's our flaps. There's our flaps. Now I'm going to take the first page. Again, I'm going to remove the tape off of my hinges. Make sure I have the right orientation of my page with the pocket at the bottom, because I put it on wrong before. And let's go ahead and slide it on that hinge. Sorry, my computer keeps going into sleep mode, so if it's kind of going off, that's why. It's very annoying. And I'm just going to burnish on either side. So now my folio is complete. For the front cover, what you'll do, what I did for this one, is I cut my sheet of design paper by, where is it? Looks like it's 11 1/4 by 7 3/4, and I just wrapped it all the way around is all I did. And I used score tape around all of the edges, and then I covered it just like I did with the chipboard with my ATG gun to make it stay. And if you go slowly enough, I didn't have, even though this is thicker paper, I have not had any problems with it cracking this time. So the only thing left besides matting all of your pages, so here we have our waterfall with our magnet, the first flip, your pocket, and your photo mat. Then you have another pocket with the photo mat here, your tags with your pockets with your booklets, your flap, and then you have another pocket here for your photo mat. Turn it over, then your two flaps here, your pocket here on this flap, and then a flap that opens up this way, this photo mat, and then the photo mat inside this one. And then you'll also have your photo mat, I think this is it, for inside this pocket. And that's all besides the belly band. Now the way I did my belly band closure was a little different. This is what I did. I cut it by 2 inches by 12 inches, and I scored it at, which is not going to be long enough to go around, but I scored it at 1 3/4, 3 inches, 8 1/4, and 9 1/2. And of course I'll put those measurements down below so that you don't have to just jot them all down really quickly while I'm talking. So then I wrapped it around my book here. And then I put score tape on each edge here. You notice it's not long enough to go over. So I removed the tape backing off of here, the score tape, and I took my 3x4 cut apart from the collection, and then I just stuck it down here at a diagonal. So that way it all sticks together. Now before you do that, I would suggest matting this at about 1 7/8 by, 12 7/8. Go ahead and mat the whole thing and then put it on here, because mine I matted in sections and I didn't like how it turned out. It would look better if it were matted all the way around. So that's all that I did. So I layered my 3x4 on some black cardstock, and I used my little stub punch to punch the edges to make it a little decorative, and it does just slide on. And if you don't like the belly band, of course you can do a ribbon closure or not have a closure at all, just whatever you like. But I thought that that looked simple and cute, and if you watch my videos you notice that I'm all about simple when in my decorating and in my style, period. And so that's how I did that. So there's my video. It turned out to be a little longer than I expected it to be, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you make one of these. If you do, let me know. Show me. I want to see your videos on how it looks and how you decorate it differently from the way I did mine. And thanks for watching.